Now what? I don't know. Hold on,
Oh.
babe. I don't know. Adam's trying to figure it out, but it says I don't know. Um. Okay, I think so. Oh, here we are. We're live on YouTube.
Oh, okay. So this is the link. All right. Let me
Yes.
just share
I
it.
just got the notification.
Excellent. Oh
Can
my
you?
Okay,
God.
that's a good sign.
I. Everything is lagged. I'm just gonna stay over here because if I go to the YouTube live stream, it looks lagged and it's freaking me out. Okay. But GT, you might, as the moderator, you might have to. I mean, I doubt anybody is going to join this, especially because we're 30 minutes late. But if
Yeah.
they do, and if they are putting things in the chat, you're going to have to go. Well, I don't know how to do this if you're not the
Yeah, I
moderator.
don't
Just
even see it, chat. Oh, there it is. Yeah. Okay.
you see this? Do you
See?
see the chat?
Yeah, I see it. I see a chat. Okay, cool. Yeah,
Okay,
I
cool.
can
I
keep an
doubt
eye on it
anybody's
if
going to
anyone says
join.
it.
I
But
don't
yeah,
even
just
know
in
if this
case
is
they ask
recording.
questions or anything.
It's
Well, hopefully
recording.
it is. Oh, okay, good. All
Oh,
right.
does it record automatically? I've never gone
It
live.
does.
This.
That's what a
Oh.
live stream is. It's like automatic. Yeah. All right.
Oh,
So
automatic
here we
recording.
go.
Okay. Well, that
All
was
right. So thank you
arduous
so
and
much
painful.
for dealing this and sticking through with this for 30 minutes with me because I was like, I want to do the live. The Instagram thing keeps saying you've done 0 lives, so I want to do a live. And then it was like, oh, you need 1,000 followers to do a live. So forget you, Instagram. Like, just get rid of that thing then. Like, I'm an overachiever and I want to meet all the benchmarks. And if you put that benchmark in front of me, I want to achieve it. So, anyway, this is why we're doing this live. Plus, I also wanted to uh, kind of like say farewell to Wuthering Heights before moving on to the next book because I know that for you guys, like, I think this was a reread for you guys, right? Like, you
Oh
guys are
my
super
gosh, we've
familiar.
been talking about Wuthering Heights
Yes.
since
Ex-
January.
Not
Actually,
even
before
since January.
January, I
Yeah, I was
think.
about to
I
say
think it
since
was
like
November. We started in November.
No, we
or
did.
whenever it
Yeah.
is that you first
Mm.
read this book, which for me was like now because of your guys' podcast. Otherwise, I would have never read this book. I am a scaredy cat. I get scared so easily about things. So this is like, great, I'm glad you're doing this. Let me support and be your social media manager through something
Oh
that's
yeah.
really, really hard for me. It's like exposure
Well,
therapy.
it's
Well,
only
introduce
going to
your.
get worse.
I
Oh, jeez.
know.
I know.
Introduce yourself, by the
I'm
way,
getting there.
G. This is
All right.
this is.
So my name is Jatel. My nickname is GT. And then sometimes, as you just heard my sister do, she'll shorten it to G. Although true to our Latina roots, like we will often just say my sister, my sister, my sister, even though we know each other's names and everybody else knows each other's names and everything. I can't help it. Like it's just that's what we say. And I've also noticed the number of times that you tend to say it in the podcast. Well, I was talking to my sister and I was like, let's introduce the sister. Like it's me. Because I also know that in my classroom, I'm Miss Aguilar and you were the other Miss Aguilar. So now I'm like,
That's
let's
so
introduce
funny.
the other Miss Aguilar here too. So yeah.
Yeah.
So
And I also
scare.
just want to
Yay.
formally, yay! And I also just want to formally thank you. My sister's been the one who's been running our social media, making all the fun posts. And, it's part of the reason she has to watch the podcast and read the books.
He's
Especially
amazing.
thank you so much. I actually have a lot of fun doing those, and I just crack myself up sometimes. But yeah, so that I'm trying my best to be your guys' social media manager for Annotations After Dark. It's been a lot of fun so far, even though half the time I'm like, the scary stuff. Like, again, you guys are probably so tired of Wuthering Heights already. For me, this was my very first time reading it and being exposed to the story and everything. So I was, as I'm sure Emily Bronte would be so happy to hear, properly freaked out and spooked out. And like, I would be listening to the audiobook and Adam would walk in and I'd be like, I jumped because like, I was so in the moors and in the mood. And just like, she got me. And so reading the book and then watching the movie that just came out, I haven't seen any of the other movie adaptations yet either. So I'm excited to do that too. I'm like so into, I know you guys are so tired of Wuthering Heights and I'm like so into the world. Like I'm like, oh my gosh, this is my first time. I love it here. This is so awesome. And now I feel like you guys are like, you like that one spooky thing? Let's dive into the deep end with this Victorian psycho lady. And I'm just like, oh my god, why? Well, I can't even eat while I listen to my audiobook anymore. I have to like specifically schedule a time to listen because otherwise it just doesn't work. But anyway, thank you so much, you guys.
You're welcome.
But speaking of the whole creepy spooky factor of, oh, did I mute myself? No. Okay.
No.
Speaking of the whole creepy spooky factor of Wuthering Heights, and I realize it's not horror yet. You guys are definitely walking me into the horror world and everything. Crimson Peak. This is not a movie I would have liked before. I loved this movie. Heathers is something that my sister would watch all the time when we were growing up, and I would leave the room because I'd be like with all the killing and everything, and I'm like,
Oh, she wouldn't just
I
leave the
liked
room.
it.
She would be so judgmental about it. Like, I don't know how you can watch this.
Yeah, it's true. And yeah, like you're just filling your brain with this. But yeah, and now fast forward to me now watching Wuthering Heights 2026 Emerald Fennell and me being so upset that she took the ghost out of the ghost story. Like I'm just like, what? That was the creepiest thing that like started off and set the mood as creepy, and the creepy is gone. And I feel like I got to a point of like inoculating myself where I was ready for the creepy, and then it just didn't really come, and I was like, oh, like almost let down about that. So speaking of almost let down about not talking about creepy stuff, that I was like, oh, my first time, and I was like, in the podcast, y'all didn't really go into the whole digging up the corpse, Heathcliff digging up Catherine's corpse and like hugging it and like all that, like, because to me, like I was just like reading that and like I was just like, and then like you guys mentioned it but didn't really spend time on it. I was like, no, can I need to hear what you guys have to say about this creepy stuff that I now have in my head thanks to you two.
Yeah, oops.
I think,
that
Claudine,
was a
I think you
bummer.
were the one who talked about how obsessive he is that he went to her grave and basically was like, oh my gosh, she still looks the same and so beautiful. And we're like, ew, no, she doesn't. There's no way.
Yeah.
But then,
Wasn't
But
that
then my
you?
sister did some. My
yes,
sister
exactly.
did some
But then
digging.
I looked it up, and no pun intended with the digging, and it turns out that there is such a thing as bog mummification that happens with like peaty, swampy areas or whatever, exactly like Emily Bronte
Sure.
described at the beginning of the book. And you know how authors like to do that stuff, like, oh, I'm gonna throw this at the beginning when it doesn't really mean anything to you, and then it's gonna come back later on. And that's exactly what happened with this, where I was like, oh no, maybe it's my literalness, but like I think it's real, the bog mummification, and that's why the gravekeeper tells him like, oh, don't breathe on her because then she'll change, because it's like, oh, then the effect goes away or whatever.
Right. Because I think it's something to do with the cooling and everything just being solidified. It like seals the casket. It's like, what does it seal? Yeah, but they're not in a casket, are they?
They are.
I don't.
She is.
Yeah,
Are they?
yeah, because
Okay.
then he
Yeah, because
pays
she's
the
out in
sextant,
she's in the moors.
and he pays the
Okay.
sextant to remove the side of the casket so that they can be
Right.
next to each other.
So he can slide in
So romantic.
and roll over.
Look,
This is
all
so
right.
romantic. Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, there's a total the bog mummification. That was such an interesting thing to learn about. I obviously didn't know about that. Funny that you should mention mummies. Right, Michelle? We're gonna
Yes,
talk about that.
I'm
We're gonna...
looking forward to talking about that later.
But anyway, that's just a little plug for Victorian Psycho. There are mummies, but anyway, um, I didn't know that. But that aside, okay, that's the Michelle and I always do this. We're like, all right, let's do it literally. Now let's do one this way and this way. So like, one, we've got the literal, right, the mummification. But two, we also have to remember, and I feel like Michelle and I are always just like, I'm gonna get a tattoo that says unreliable narrator, because it's like we're getting this story from Nellie, who's gotten this story from Heathcliff. So nobody saw him do this. And so
Hmm.
part of me sometimes wonders, and this is something that if we were to get a story from Heathcliff's perspective, this is something that I sometimes wonder. So I did my master's thesis on Invisible Man by Ralph Ellison, and in the opening prologue of Invisible Man, the narrator, our protagonist, talks about what it feels like to be an invisible man as a person of color, and how he'll like the stereotypes. The reason he's invisible, one of the many reasons, is that the stereotypes, the eyes from that other people see him through, kind of paint a picture that clouds, or what's the word I'm looking for, that dictates how, like, what people already think about him. And so what he has fun with in the prologue is leaning into that stereotype just to freak people out. And so sometimes when I read all these horror stories and what a big bad Heathcliff is, I have to, one, remember that Nellie doesn't like him anymore, and she's the one telling this story. And so you're like, well, how much of this is being a little exaggerated from Nellie? Like, if you're going to be a good storyteller, remember, we also didn't talk about this, but she's trying to get Lockwood to feel sympathy for Kathy.
Yeah,
because
come and save my girl.
She's trapped.
Yeah.
So come and marry him. And so,
yeah.
How much is she elaborating on this to make him horrified, right? But also, I have to wonder, how much is Heathcliff also trolling Nellie? Like, how much is he's like, and guess what else I did? And if he grew
I
up on
don't
the
know. I
moors,
can imagine it.
oh,
I can
totally
imagine him doing it, but
No,
I didn't
totally.
think of him doing it in that way. Like I always picture him like having a manic episode, running out in the rain when the dirt is soft, and like a dog digging it up with his hands till he gets to the casket and then orders some poor soul, get over here and open it, and then crawling in and laying next to her. That's my picturing of what he does.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
romantic.
Yeah, no, that's how I see it too. I mean, Heathcliff is deranged, okay? Even from, no matter how Nellie is telling this story, he still forced a 17-year-old girl to be locked in a room so she could marry his son, so that she could go say goodbye to her dying father. I mean, the guy is twisted. I don't even want to know what the consummation of the marriage looked like, in order, like, there's so much we don't know about this story. So I totally agree with Michelle. I think it's a total possibility that he literally did this in the most grotesque manner possible and manic. But I'm just saying, that's what's juicy, and I think why we harp so much on the unreliable narrator, because it just allows for different, like a choose your own adventure story. Like, well, we can choose to believe Nellie, and that's one adventure. But there's a possibility that Nellie, like, Heathcliff is trolling her, that he's making up some of the things, that he's doing some horrible things. I'm not saying that he's not, but that he's also exaggerating or just making these other ones worse. And I kind of like wallowing in that possibility and those juicy details, because there is something that makes me smile about a black man or a person of color, because we don't know what his actual race is. He could be Indian or any number of things. The British weren't exactly known for their discerning understanding of different cultures. I should say the English. Um, so, there's a part of me that really delights on this man who is a person of color trolling this, like, superstitious white lady and going like, boo. So I don't know, you know, I get giddy at the thought.
That is a fun interpretation. Something, speaking of Nellie, of being this like older superstitious white lady who's just like, this is a story of something that happened to me 20 years ago, and not even happened to me, happened around me 20 years ago, and I'm telling you this to the best of my recollection. And so I do love that, because it's true, like figures from our past do tend to become like bigger or more villainized, or like just like whatever the case may be, like the more time that goes on. So I see that.
Yeah.
I see that.
But do I think that he could have totally done it? Hell yeah.
Yeah, of course, especially because that's such an iconic part of this, that I'm just like, wait, it's just like taking the ghost out of the ghost story. I was like, so we're not gonna dig into the court. We're okay. All the creepy stuff is just gone. Okay, got it.
The and non-consensual. Sorry, one last thing. Yeah. Non-consensual, because do we know if Catherine wanted to be married next to this man?
Well, you know what? And that's exactly what I was going to get to, actually, was like the next point was of realizing that Nellie is a very complex character, which the movie definitely, in my eyes, even though from my research I've been seeing that Emerald Fennell says that she didn't want to paint Nellie as a villain, but I was like, Behead Isabel to talk about the nurse being at fault. And okay, anyway, that's besides the point.
I think she does protest too much.
Yeah, one thing that I thought was interesting about Nellie's character that I wish y'all had talked about, so I'm bringing it up now, is the fact that she makes sure makes sure makes sure people's last wishes are respected. Like the
Mm.
fact that when the locket around Catherine's neck, when Heathcliff takes out Linton's hair and leaves only his own, and then Nellie sees that and she's like, no, or not sees that, but sees the hair, and she's like, no, Catherine wanted both of these gentlemen hair in her locket and to be buried with them, and that is what's gonna happen. And so she fixes that. The fact that Edgar, the family wants to bury him with all the Lintons, and Nellie's the one who makes sure and is like, no, he specifically said he wanted to be buried next to Catherine, so that's what's gonna happen. And then even freaking Heathcliff, with his wanting to be buried right next to Catherine and remove the sides and everything, she still follows through with that last wish. Like for me, I was upset that Heathcliff got everything he wanted by the end. I was like, no, 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 no. Like he's dead, and you don't have to follow his wishes. But Nellie, like these are three different instances where she really respects people's last wishes. And so the fact that you said this white lady who's superstitious, I'm like, oh, is it part of the superstition of I don't want these ghosts haunting me if I don't do what they
Could
want me
be.
to do?
Well, first of all, like, I don't really. Let me just correct something because I can imagine she's superstitious given her education, where she grew up, the fact that she hasn't traveled the world. But do we have any evidence in the book that she's actually superstitious? Maybe I would have to look. That's all I'm saying. You could probably find it. It might be there, but I don't
I
want
think
to.
more religious than
Maybe more
superstition.
religious. And yeah, I agree. Like Christian, the fact that she just wants to respect it bodes well on her character. You know, I was being a little tongue in cheek when I just called her a superstitious white lady. Right?
Well, I latched onto that because it went really well with my next point. And speaking of my next point, this is a soapbox that my sister has gotten on. So this question first is for Michelle because I want to hear Michelle's point of view. But then obviously, Claudine, I still want you to say what you told me. And I want to hear
Okay.
if Michelle's point of view affects your point of view at all.
Okay.
A lot of my research or just like looking through posts and stuff was so many people ragging on Wuthering Heights, the book, not the movie, but actually kind of both, but more than anything, the book, saying this book was just all horrible people. I couldn't root for anyone in the book. Now, I knew that both of y'all, based off of your podcast, based off of the book and the movie, love Isabella. Y'all are Isabella champions, right? And it's like, she's obviously one that immediately disproves that this book is just a bunch of horrible people. But Michelle, what else would you like to say to these people that say like I'm not interested in reading Wuthering Heights because it's just a bunch of horrible people trying to be more horrible than each other?
I mean, if that's what you think, isn't that more reason to read it? Maybe that's what I like. I like horrible people doing horrible things to each other. Dog eat dog, right? So, but I don't agree. I don't agree that everyone is terrible. I think the main characters are, right? They all have their darknesses. But I think what people are missing is the complexity that comes with that. Yes, Catherine is selfish, self centered, maybe a little whiny, a little feral, but she's also beating her wings against this social hierarchy and social
Mhm.
constructs kind of make her that way and mold her in that way. So it's not simply for her, at least, that she's terrible or bad tempered or, misaligned. So with Heathcliff, yeah, I don't find anything redeemable about him. I know Claudine and I talked about that a lot, even at the end, where it definitely could be argued that he's turned a leaf or has a different way of viewing things, but he doesn't recoup anything from that, right? He doesn't set things right in any way. So
No.
to me, he
He
can't be forgiven.
he just stops interfering. He's like, you know what?
Mhm.
Yeah, I'll just
Yes.
back out. But yeah, he doesn't actually atone.
Yeah,
He doesn't actually do something to
exactly.
try to redeem. Yeah.
Thank you. That is the word I was looking for. There is no
Yeah.
atonement. So it's
Mm-mm.
almost like he's taken, you have the steps, the 10-step program. I think he ended his life with step one.
Yeah.
I should say ended his life. He died. Sorry.
I
That
mean,
was not
actually, that's actually kind
accurate.
of. I was like, I think that that's another ambiguity in the novel is how did Heathcliff die exactly? Like, he just
Mhm.
started really like being delusional and seeing Catherine's ghost everywhere and talking to someone who wasn't there. But it's like it kind of to me was echoes of Catherine making herself sick. Where I'm like, I don't know, I feel like he did kind of decide to get out at step one, like step one and done. You know, like I don't
I
know.
think all the vitriol was drained in venom from his body, and there wasn't
Mm,
really anything else to live on anymore. Because after Catherine dies, you know, he feeds himself with his anger, his frustration, and his revenge.
mhm.
And once that turn happens, or like you said, he stops interfering, there is no juice.
Yeah.
There is
I would
nothing
say
to eat and consume.
very good. I was going to say that he has no oxygen to feed that fire of hate anymore. It's just
Yes.
burnt to ashes, you know? The one thing that I would say is just, and I agree wholeheartedly with Michelle, like,
Mhm.
especially with the atonement part. I think the one thing that really hurts his heart, this is the way I like to interpret it. And that's the thing about this, it's so ambiguous. You can't really know, right? It's like that juicy gossip that's I'm obsessed. I always bring this up, reality TV, and there's the whole Amanda and West and all that's going on right now. And one of my biggest frustrations is that as much as I can watch all of the interviews, watch what happens, reunions, but at the end of the day, I'm never going to know. There's going to be a part of it that's closed off to me, and that pisses me off. And that's how I feel about Heathcliff. But a comfort or a solace that I take with Heathcliff's character is that when he sees Hareton and Kathy look up from the fire where she's teaching him how to read, and he sees the bond, despite the fact that he tried so hard to be like Hindley to Hareton and beat Kathy down. These two kids found each other, and as spoiled as Kathy was, because Kathy was an asshole. Kathy was an asshole to Harrington, and Harrington was an asshole to Kathy. And yet they managed to get past that and find each other, which is something Catherine and Heathcliff could never do.
Hmm.
Um, and I just think that something in him broke that day. I think that's when he started going down that road. And also, let's another thing that Michelle and I didn't talk about that I was like, oh no, is the trope in the Gothic tradition of madness as the
Hmm.
supernatural.
Yes.
Um,
We totally
we
forgot. I don't know
totally forgot
how.
about that. And so when we're talking about, we were making fun of Catherine for making herself sick and Heathcliff making himself sick and dying, and we're like, oh, and then we're like, stupid. Emily Bronte wasn't trying to say this is how medicine works, or that this is how illness works. Kathy, Emily Bronte was trying to say, look, they drove themselves. They didn't understand madness back then. It was a supernatural element. So they were like, oh, look, they drove
Right.
themselves mad because of this. And this is what led to their death. Going back to what you guys were saying about, well, maybe he did step out on life because he was tired and it was extinguished. And I did write down that goes. So when it comes to character growth, going back to your question about Isabella, I think the reason that everybody's like everybody sucks here. Maybe it's true. Maybe Isabella sucks too to a lot of people. But the truth is, she and Kathy and Harrington show growth, and that is
Yes.
in there is no growth with our main characters. Like Catherine is always Catherine. Heathcliff is only Heathcliff. So maybe it's just us starved for wanting that growth, and wherever you see it, come on, you can't get mad at a woman who has a knife thrown at her head, runs out in her underwear through the moors for miles to get to her brother's house. And then when Nellie sees her and is like, oh, child, let me take care of you, she's like, nope, I got this. I've already saved myself 1,000 times over and I'm addicted to it. So I'm just going to take my stuff, go to London or a little place outside of London, raise my kid.
Hmm.
21st century woman right
And
there.
does so
Um,
for 12 years.
Mm-hmm.
yes.
Mm-hmm.
And sets up a will to take care of her son because she knows what Heathcliff is like. So it's just, she's heroic to me. Nellie is heroic to me because she recognizes she's not perfect either. She's constantly correcting. Like, I think Michelle in our episode that's going to drop tomorrow for Victorian Psycho said, I love a self aware, unreliable narrator because it makes you trust them. And Nellie is a self aware, unreliable narrator. She's like, I don't know, man. This is 10 years ago. I'm doing my best. So, all these things, Kathy and Harrington changing towards the end and finding love with one another. I know. I don't know. I don't know what these people are talking about. Did you stop reading in part one? Sorry, no offense to our.
Know how much it is about them actually having read it. I'd be curious to see like who read it recently versus their memory of it. Because I know we had an issue with like, I don't remember any of this stuff.
It's true. I read it in college.
And then I think I actually blew other pieces out of proportion, like inflated them, and they were not
romance?
significant.
Which,
I don't
can
know if
I
that's
just
because of the
say,
movies. Yeah, go ahead.
this goes so well with the whole Nellie remembering a story from 20 years ago and trying to tell Lockwood, like, y'all read this story like 20 years ago and are trying, and then, some things were overinflated, some things were more like, and then others were like, I forgot that this happened. Like, how much did Nellie forgot that happened in the story? Like, we definitely are not getting the full story.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
I mean, she probably remembered it better than us because it happened to her and it was traumatic. But yeah, I mean, traumas we blow out of proportion all the time. And I went through this traumatic incident. I won't go into it, but I've told you about it, G and Big Bear, and I've told the story a million times. And every time I tell it, the core elements stay the same, but I'm starting to forget little details. Did that happen first or after? When did that happen in this? And so, yeah, you remember things, but they start messing up and they start kind of. There's a reason why.
Flipping and sliding.
There's a reason why in the court of law, eyewitness testimony is considered very weak evidence because we misremember things all the time. Which, again, sorry to keep plugging this, but that's what I love about Victorian Cycle. Okay, we're going to talk about that later, so I'm not gonna get into it.
Well, speaking of getting into something though, because this one is still for you, Claudine, because I cannot, speaking of not remembering, I cannot remember if this is something that y'all did say in the podcast or if this was a thing that you told me, like, oh, I wish I had talked about this. So did you speak on the whole Nellie as a villain in the movie and like how the whole like Romeo and Juliet nurse and the nurse not having the power and we should definitely be mad at the Friar Lawrence because that was my argument? Okay, good. I couldn't remember if that was podcast or just us talking.
Yeah, we talked about that.
Good. All right. The second thing that what is about Heathcliff's revenge or vengeance arc or whatever we want to call it, right? So he does a lot of like, this was done to me, like a lot of poetic justice kind of stuff. Like, this was done to me, I shall do this to you or to your descendants or whatever, And part of me was very like, dang, like Heathcliff is super cold because his revenge doesn't just stop at the person like Hindley. It moves on with his descendants, right? Like, I'm going to take it out on your son and I'm going to do to your son what you did to me. But then I started thinking about it and I was like, wait. I am of the camp that Heathcliff and Catherine are half siblings. That Mr. Earnshaw's, that Heathcliff is Mr. Earnshaw's illegitimate son, and that's why he brings him home and everything like that. For me, that even though it's ambiguous, I'm like, no, that's what it is. So, under that lens, I remember y'all saying in your podcast earlier that Heathcliff, we just get to know what Mr. Earnshaw says about how he ends up with Heathcliff, right? And you're like, how do we know that he wasn't actually saying, and that he was speaking gibberish? And how do we know that this gibberish wasn't him actually saying, yo, my family's over there. Like, no, like you're kidnapping me right now. Like, I want to go back with my family. And
that he had another language, right?
Yes. And so what if his separating the kids from the family the way that he does with both Harrington, with Linton, with Kathy, is like part of his revenge? Because it's like, this is what you did to me. You took away my family, so I'm taking away yours.
It's very possible.
Yeah.
All right.
Go ahead, Michelle. You.
I was just going to say, I think I think it becomes that way because he's not satiated by what happens with Henley. It's not enough, and there's no way to like move forward from that. He
Mm,
doesn't get what he wants. So then he's like, well, let me, instead of just you, now it's going to be your son. Now it's going to be all your descendants.
mhm.
Um, yeah, he just seems insatiable.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. I love that reading of it, and I love that word for Heathcliff actually. And then the last point that I wanted to make is from my perspective, and it's something that I actually did tell my sister, but Michelle, I wanted to tell you. Was I know I'm so excited, like my big sister's friend. Let me tell you things that I
I love it.
know. No, it's something that I said, and actually, Claudine, you actually kind of referred to it earlier when you said they didn't really know how medicine worked back then, right? Like they and like their ideas of illness and stuff. And I bring in the perspective of being chronically ill. There's a reason why I'm able to be your social media manager, because I have some time on my hands. And this is, and I'm chronically online because I'm chronically ill. So this is kind of like my world and my language. So thank you once again for letting me have a voice and express myself through here.
Well, I'm just happy to get you off political corners for a little bit too.
I mean,
and back
that
We
into
love
too.
where I
it.
was.
That too. So with Linton, so speaking of like villains of Wuthering Heights, like Linton is not a character that can be very easily redeemable. Like any Linton lovers, I would love to hear from them for sure. I am not a Linton lover, but I might say I'm a Linton apologist because from my point of view, poor kid was chronically ill. Like
Yeah.
one detail that always sticks out to me is when Nellie says, because we definitely have Nellie evidence of Nellie thinking that people are exaggerating their illnesses, like right, like Catherine literally dies, and she was like, I didn't think it was a big deal, and I was like, well, obviously you were wrong. And with Linton, she says, yeah, when the one time that he tried to make him go out, he claimed that he was sick for 4 days afterwards, and I was like, actually, that sounds like exactly what happens to me. This sounds like my life. Like I'd go out to the beach with my cousins and I will be sick in bed for 4 days afterwards. Like that's the price I pay for having fun, basically, as a chronically ill person.
Yeah, and
And so I'm like,
these people are noblemen. So you've heard of the Habsburgs. They have some genetic conditions. So
exactly. And so I know also from English major stuff and all of that, like that illness back then a lot of times would get very moralized and it would be like, oh, like, oh, like for instance in Pride and Prejudice, like Elizabeth Bennet is like, oh yeah, Mr. Darcy is betrothed to the sickly girl over there. Ha ha ha. What a good bride for him. And I'm like, oh wow, okay. Like I am the punishment bride. Got it. Um, but it's like, okay, I understand that illness was basically seen as a character flaw. And so this was even more so being like, look how horrible of a person Linton is. And the fact that he is this horrible in this many ways, like I said, if there are any Linton lovers, I definitely want to hear from them. But the fact that he's this horrible in this many ways, and look, Kathy is still able to love him. Kathy is still able to be a caregiver to him until his dying breath, literally, because once again, Heathcliff pieces out and he's like, I ain't gonna deal with that.
Hmm.
Like, I'm not gonna make it worse, but I'm not gonna make it better either. you know?
Right.
well, that's
Yeah,
actually
you're
what I
absolutely right.
yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, well, really quickly, that's actually what I was gonna say when you were like, if there are any Linton apologists, I'm like, well, I think the biggest Linton apologist or Linton lover, and I think Linton's redemption is seen through Kathy, and it's Kathy's redemption too. It's the fact that Kathy is learning to grow through this experience, and what does she do with that growth? She takes care of him, and she loves him, and she
Hmm.
understands that he is at the mercy of Heathcliff, and she knows that Heathcliff is so horrible that that's one of my favorite things that she does is after she gets married, after her father dies, that strength. It's like the same Isabella's strength of like, you know what? Yeah, you're not going to let me mourn. You're not going to let me do anything. I didn't expect that from you anyway. And you know why? Because I know you don't know what it feels like to be loved. And the thing is, I do know what it feels like to be loved. So I'm going to love my cousin. And my cousin does love me. And she says that with such assuredness, despite the fact
Hmm.
that he is such a jerk to her, that she's like, the growth of this girl, or just the love that she's experienced that allows her to go hurt people. It's very much like I think that's what Edgar saw in Catherine, where she's like, Michelle and I talked about this, where we were like, how did Edgar come back to Catherine? She's such a jerk to Nellie. She pinches her, she slaps her. And I think it's because Edgar recognizes that she's been in an abusive household her whole life. And the fact that her parents, when she gets sick on the moors, when Heathcliff leaves, and her parents are like, oh no, bring her to us. Like, we're not letting her go back to him there. She knows that they know there's abuse in that house. They know what's
Mm-hmm.
going on. And so I think it's, I'm going to let Michelle take it from here because I don't want to go off on this tangent, but I did talk on the podcast, like where I was like a little annoyed because I was like, do we, I love that the Lintons are such nice people. Did we have to make the rich people nice? But that's it.
Yeah, that's
That's so
funny.
true. That's the
Well,
most
it's
unrealistic part of this.
right. Oh my gosh, that's so true. I was just going to say that, you know, you're absolutely right when you say illness or deformity was often like a character flaw. It also functioned as a signifier of innocence because if you think about like Charles Dickens, his characters that suffer, right? And they're just like, oh, there are these Christ like characters.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
Victorian
Helen
Psycho
Burns.
Plug, they're lames. Yes. Nell, little Nell, which is a reference in our other book we're reading from the old Curiosity Shop, right? So these were seen as super innocent. So I think what's cool about Linton is he can be both. He's insufferable, but he's innocent all this. He did not do anything.
Mm-hmm.
But because he's been so sheltered, he's also developed this neediness, this constant need for affection. But what's so interesting about his illness is anything you do is like too much.
Mm.
The touch is too hard, the
Mm-hmm.
noises are too loud,
Mm-hmm.
the temperatures are too hot or too cold.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like he can't even exist in the way we would want to share affection with somebody.
Oh, you are singing
It's
my
that
song because
delicate.
yes, I definitely feel it. Almost feels like Rogue and X Men, where you're just like there's a
Yes.
barrier. Yeah, for sure. Oh, I love that reading. Thank you so much, Michelle. You're so good at the adjectives like neediness for
Oh my God.
Linton. Yeah, not
Thanks.
satiated for Heathcliff, and I'm just like, yes, these are the brilliant things. The only thing that I'm gonna say, for any again, if I want to hear from the Linton lovers, because I will never forget the part where it's very Joffrey from Game of Thrones to me, where he says,
So much
"If
so.
I had my dad's strength, if I had Heathcliff's strength, I would be abusive too. Like I would do the
Oh,
things. The
yeah.
only reason I'm not abusive is because I don't have the physicality." And I'm like, yeah, maybe that's actually a good thing that you don't have it
I
because
Ooh,
mean,
he's
it's
going to
I
get
not.
don't know how.
punched in the face. And
Yeah.
I don't know how much we can trust Heathcliff, but he does say that he likes abusing little. I don't know if this is a metaphor or if it's literal, but he likes
All of a
abusing.
sudden, I can't really hear you too well, Damien.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, better.
Hello.
better.
Okay.
Yeah. Mm.
Um, what I was going to say was make sure that this is all good. What I was going to say is that, like, I don't know how much we can trust Heathcliff, but he does say that, and I don't know if this is a metaphor or literal, but that he does love to abuse little animals, little cats, as long as they're declawed and they can't hurt him back. So I think this is part of Bronte's. I mean, I think this is why people still talk about Wuthering Heights, right? It's a very simple story plot wise. Not a lot happens, but it's that ambiguity. It's almost like I said, a choose your own adventure of who's who. And there are parts of Linton that you really feel for, and there are parts of him that you go, wait a minute. And because it's all being told through a different lens. Michelle and I talked about like how well, at first, Nellie is describing him very sweetly, and then when he hurts Kathy, she switches it up. So it's like it's the unknown, right? That's what keeps people coming back to this novel. Is
Mm-hmm.
just it's the reason I watched the reunion 3 times. It's like, what else did I miss? Because you're just like, I must have missed. We. She makes Heathcliffs of us all. We are all insatiable. We want more, and we're never gonna get it.
It's so
So.
true because that's how I feel. I'm like now I've already got on my Libby holds on a bunch of like, I am Heathcliff and I am Nellie Dean, and just like a bunch of like fan fiction branch off of like the Wuthering Heights world, because this is my first time and I'm so excited, and I want to know it all, and I want to hear what other people think, and what you think might not line up with what I think, because Emily Bronte wrote it that way so that we would disagree, and it's so cool. And thank you so
Damn
much
you,
to both of you.
tuberculosis, for taking Emily Bronte from us so young,
know.
and she couldn't write more.
I know,
I
but thank
know.
you
Well,
both. And go.
I was just gonna say, well, I think Claudine has something in the works that maybe can get some little
Oh, yeah.
fan fiction of Wuthering Heights. So a little
I'm working
tease.
on
She's back to writing. She's back to writing, y'all.
And I'm so excited because, again, I am really immersed in this world, and that is still a perspective that is not there. I haven't found it yet. It's needed. So add that one to my list too once I read these other ones.
Yeah. Excuse me, when I finish my novel, you should read mine first. I Am Your Sister.
Yes.
Add it to the list.
Love it.
Bitch, please.
Well,
It's on the
assuming
Libby.
It's not. Yeah, I was about to say. I'm assuming it's not on Libby yet.
No.
Not yet.
You read the first chapter. You read the first.
I did, and I enjoyed it a lot. But yeah, so thank you to both so much for pushing me to read this, because again, I never would have chosen to read this on my own. And
I can't believe you're reading the next one.
I can't believe it either.
Take it Heather's perspective. It's a very Heather's, like, take it very Heather's.
Let's actually talk about that. So it's Victorian Psycho. I think it's Virginia Fate, though, based off of videos that I've seen.
I think that's,
Yes. And y'all are doing chapters 1 through 10 for tomorrow. I am on chapter 9, so I have one more chapter to go. And that's why I'm like, yeah, I'm with y'all. I can't believe I'm reading this either. This is like, like, these are going to be images and things that I have in my head, and we will do this again at the end if y'all don't like satiate me on your podcast and I have more questions and I want to hear your points of view about things, because y'all are forcing me to read these things, and I'm gonna force you to give me your thoughts.
Michelle, we will make my sister a horror person yet.
Okay.
I think we will. I think it's gonna be a slow stroll, but I think she'll like it.
I think so too.
Just wait till the movie I'm gonna have you watch.
Yeah. And oh my gosh, she's already watched one of them. Michelle chose another one because we accidentally arrived at the same one. The funny thing is, Michelle, when I said that on the podcast, that wasn't the one I had in mind. It's just the one that popped in my head when you were talking. And I was like, oh, but now the funny thing is I don't remember the one I had in my mind. I don't remember the one I had.
It'll come back, I bet.
I bet it will.
I hope it's not the same one that I am. I'll tell you more.
No. I'm going to stop on the hand that the hand that rocks the cradle, because it is very the hand that rocks the cradle.
Oh, that's a great one. I watched that one.
She loves that one.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I love that movie.
Oh, and I can totally see that with the Victorian Psycho. Okay, I see.
Oh yeah, you haven't watched.
Wait till you get mine. I can't wait to tell you.
I can't
I'm
wait.
excited.
But yeah, from now on,
make my reading this horror stuff worth it. Thank you.
Of course.
You're welcome.
We're gonna put this up on the actual podcast too, and we're gonna make an announcement. But yeah, and from now on, we are going to be dropping every 2 weeks, because some of the feedback we heard was we can't read that fast. Why are you guys reading so fast?
Especially something like Wuthering Heights, dude. If I had an audiobook there's no way I would have been able to keep up with that. And like, I remember even being like, Joseph and his accent, why does Harrington have the same accent as Joseph? And you were like, oh, because you're listening to the audiobook. You're actually not really supposed to be able to understand Joseph. And I was like, oh. And then I saw what it looked like, and I was like, oh, there's no way. There's no way I would have understood what this
the jibber jabber in the text.
Yes, it was because of the audiobook that I was like, oh, this religious old man, Joseph, blah, blah, blah. And I totally like understood him, but yeah.
And as a stickler for just like tradition, I'm like, why did you give Harrington the same accent as Joseph when we can clearly understand Harrington in the book? And I think if she wanted him to have the same accent as Joseph, she would have given him the same accent of Joseph. I think she was trying to show, through the accent, she was showing how his pedigree was working past Joseph. Like maybe he He spoke more
Right.
like Heathcliff. Actually, she actually says he speaks more like Heathcliff, who also has an accent, and it's low class, quote unquote, but it's not all the way to Joseph. So that kind of pisses me off. Shame on you, audiobook people.
But back to the reason why I was able to
Wow.
access Wuthering Heights because of the
Oh no, I
audiobook
love
people.
audiobooks. No. I don't mean shame on audiobooks. I mean the
The
person that just
interpretation of the voice actor. Okay.
yes, that's what I mean. Because not all audiobooks are created equal. Like as much as I
True.
love Liverbox recordings because they make stuff accessible, I can't really listen to them because one chapter is read by a woman, another one's read by a man, and the readers are not all created equal. So, it's an art. Reading, like audiobook reading is an art. There is a reason why people get paid to do it. Like my favorite audiobook is The Martian by Andy Weir because the person who does the audiobook, I don't know if it's Andy Weir himself, but so good. So anyway, we're going on this whole thing. This was so much fun, and Michelle do and I do
Yay.
have to record.
Yeah.
So-
Yeah. Okay.
We
well,
do have a
fun.
recording.
Thank
Thank you
so
so much for hosting us, GT.
This was fun, and I
And
love
thank
being
you
able to
so
touch
much
about these
for-
things.
Yeah, exactly. I was gonna say that. Thank you so much for answering all my questions about these things and just indulging me with Wuthering Heights for just a little bit longer. Now we're going into Victorian Psycho. Chapters
And,
1 through 10 coming out tomorrow. Yay.
and to all our thousands of listeners, thank you for joining us today.
We're so happy to have you here.
All right, love you guys.
Y'all are funny.
Mwah.
Bye.
Bye.